And this morning, we wrap up our week-long series, 5 Days of Feasting, with some tips to make holiday hosting a breeze. Today, food and wellness contributor Jessica DeLuise brings comfort to the table with her take on a classic favorite, cheesy cheddar cornbread.
I'm Scripps News food and wellness contributor Jessica DeLuise, getting you ready for the holidays. And today we're baking up this cheddar cheese cornbread. It's an upgraded classic that you can make ahead of time. Baking bread is tricky, but you can nail this one. Impress without the stress and make this cheddar cheese cornbread. The best part is you can make it the day before Thanksgiving to save time and oven space on the big day. We'll lightly grease our baking dish with some avocado oil. We want this cornbread to come out in one big whole piece. Into a large mixing bowl, we'll add our dry ingredients. Cornmeal, all-purpose flour, I'm using a gluten-free, baking powder, salt. Whisk it up. Now we'll mix the wet ingredients. 2 eggs. Best practice is to crack them in a little separate bowl just in case you get a shell or a rotten egg. Olive oil or melted butter if you prefer. Sugar and milk. Now we'll pour the wet ingredients into the dry ingredients. And when we bake, we do this because we want to make sure everything is well incorporated and there's no clumps of certain ingredients in the final product. Now the mix-ins, corn and cheddar cheese. This is gonna be so good. Now we'll put the batter into our baking dish. And into the oven she goes. I mean, come on, that's perfect. I'm gonna let this cool for a couple minutes and then I'll pop it out of the baking dish. Perfectly fluffy, but still moist, sweet, cheesy, perfect.
And here with us now, is Jessica DeLuise. All right, I have to ask, people might hear bread and think that the recipe is tricky. So how easy is this to make? Are there any common mistakes that people should avoid?
Good morning, Stephanie. Super easy, 10 out of 10. I recommend this recipe because you're not waiting for yeast to bubble and then the bread to rise, right? This is just mix, pop it into the baking dish and then bake. And it's really easy to make ahead of time. So Thanksgiving is stressful. We have limited oven space. Make this 1 or 2 days ahead of time, pop it in the refrigerator so it stays nice and fresh, and then just take it out, slice it, and pop it right on the Thanksgiving table. Easy peasy.
Easy is always good when it comes to Thanksgiving prep. So fresh and warm. I'm sure this is absolutely delicious from the oven. Any final touches you recommend? Putting a little butter on top, anything like that?
Sure, yeah, you can smear some butter on top, cranberry sauce. Of course, we have beautiful, thick, luscious Thanksgiving gravy. We can't forget about that. So I like to pile this high: cornbread, turkey, gravy, and then all my sides all around it. And it's even great the next day. So if your guests or your family does not eat the whole thing, which they just might, the next day, toast it up, make like a little egg and cornbread situation for breakfast on Friday because that's easy and delicious and everyone's going to be exhausted. So I recommend it for the entire weekend.
Now, I noted in your instructions, you made it with gluten-free flour. Anything that people who use regular flour might need to keep in mind, or is this an easy one-to-one switch?
This isn't easy. That's a great question. Thank you. This is an easy one-to-one switch. I did gluten-free because a lot of people are asking for it and they require gluten-free ingredients. And I used a gluten-free all-purpose flour. So that is already pre-mixed and it has all of the stabilizers that you need to make bread because you're missing that gluten when you use, wheat gluten plus flour. So either a gluten flour, wheat flour is great, whole grain wheat if you can, or an all-purpose gluten-free would be your one-to-one swap.
I am a gluten-free baker at home for my husband, so I am very accustomed to trying to make those switches, and some work better than others.
Correct.
So
you got it. Exactly.
If you don't eat all of this right away, how should people be storing it to keep it fresh, keep it safe?
So this can stay out at room temperature for the entirety of Thanksgiving Day. And then after that, hop into the refrigerator. This will be good along with your other leftovers. And Monday is your benchmark. So Monday, if you haven't eaten your cornbread or your leftovers, that's the time to freeze it. And you can freeze leftovers or this cornbread, just either a reusable silicone baggie or a plastic baggie, and it can go right into the freezer just as is. I do always recommend using a label though, so you know exactly what you have and the date that you put it in the freezer, because you only have up to about 6 months for those leftovers or this cornbread in the freezer for best quality, and that is directly from the USDA.
Yes, there are a lot of labels in our freezer of things my husband and I have made in big batches and then thrown in the freezer. One other question, swap question I want to ask you. You used a cheddar cheese. It looked like a white cheddar in your video. Any other cheeses people can swap in if they don't like cheddar? Could you use a Gouda? Could you use like a pepper jack to give it a little kick?
Yes, yes, and yes. Actually, it's funny. My mom ate this and she goes, this would be so good with pepper jack cheese for a little spice. And the other thing I was thinking, which I didn't do, what I will do for Thanksgiving next week, is I'm going to top the cornbread with some cheese to get a nice crispy crust. So anything that is meltable, that melts really, really well, Gouda would be a great example. Gruyere would be a great example of that. You can definitely swap into this recipe.
Love that cheesy cornbread. We're very big fans, especially with a nice big bowl of chili on a cold fall or winter day. So, of course, we can't forget, though, Jessica, our little holiday food safety tip of the day. So you want to talk about, we're talking freezing the turkey carcass instead of just tossing it away on Thanksgiving Day. Is there a wrong way to do this?
Yes, freezing the turkey carcass. I like to use all parts of the turkey. I don't like food waste. I like to use everything in my kitchen if I can. So just like with your buffet food, you're going to put things out for 2 hours and then that's your maximum. We don't want things to cool down too much, to which they enter that danger zone between 40 and 140 degrees. That becomes a breeding ground for bacteria. So your carcass is the same thing. Carve your turkey, leave it out on the buffet, and then within that 2-hour mark, put it into either a refrigerator safe container with a lid, airtight, or something like this that I just showed you, those Ziploc freezer baggies. Put it into the refrigerator. By Monday, that should be frozen, and you can freeze that carcass for up to 6 months and then use it to make broth, because homemade broth is so simple. All you're doing is popping that carcass into something like a slow cooker or a pressure cooker like I have right here, adding a few other ingredients, mirepoix, or we call it in Italian sofrito, which is carrot, celery, onion, lemon, top it all with water, you're good to go. Let it slow cook, or pressure cook, and you have broth in a couple hours.
We make a lot of broth in our house. Anytime we do a whole chicken, we always take those bones, we save them in the freezer, and then we make a big batch of broth. We love doing that with the turkey carcass as well. Even making it into a turkey soup is a common activity in my household after Thanksgiving. Jessica DeLuise, thank you so much for joining us all this week and for sharing some great recipes and tips for everybody to have a positive Thanksgiving cooking experience next week. Of course, for more on this recipe or any of the other recipes you've seen during this week, you can head to our website, scripsnews.com/feasting.